Hip hop is not dead, and it ain't dying anytime soon. We're not really sure why that discourse seems to get louder and louder with each passing generation, and the truth is, in this age where there's more and more to listen to than ever before, it's never been more important to know where to look, or at least to know who to look to tell you. And that's where we come in. What's up, y'all? I'm Devon here again for Obligatory, and today we are talking 10 hip-hop albums from the 2020s, keeping hip-hop alive and well. Starting at number 10 with JID's The Forever Story. There's an old saying these days,
"If the South got something to say, that's all I got to say."
And in my eyes, nobody quite captures the essence of that phrase better than JID, who got his first big break signing to J. Cole's Dreamville Records ahead of his 2017 album, The Never Story. As a rapper, JID is nothing short of a marvel. His acrobatic cadences and nimble wordplay are not only impressive, but entirely entertaining to listen to. One minute he's spitting together the most dizzying, multisyllabic rhyme scheme, and the next he might just sing something beautiful. He's also got that rare balance of street and book smarts that allows him to be thematically versatile, and for a lack of a better word, built different. I think he puts it best in one of the opening tracks, Radar.
I got the shit you can play for your mama. I got the shit you can play for the hoes.
Whatever it is that you like, you'd be hard-pressed not to find it somewhere here in these 16 tracks. And keeping with the general theme of peak talent and versatility, The Forever Story features a range of production from Monty Booker, Kaytranada, Bad Bad Not Good, James Blake, and others. Features are equally colorful and fantastic, with everybody from Kenny Mason and Lil Durk to Lil Wayne and Yasiin Bey making great entries here. The Forever Story is a full hour-long experience, and it strings together a very coherent account of the rapper's life and times to this point. It's an album that our followers here at Obligatory were incredibly impressed with when it dropped in 2022, and for good reason, because JID is truly one of the best we have going these days. At number 9 is Che Noir's Food for Thought. Enough's been said already at this point about Griselda and the three-headed dragon of Westside, Conway, and Benny, and it seems like most hip-hop heads nowadays know whether that's their cup of tea or not. But what we love about Griselda as a label and as a movement in hip-hop is the web they've created and how many talented and deserving artists are getting looks with more fans invested in these sounds. One such rapper is Che Noir, also based upstate in Buffalo, New York, but only loosely associated with Griselda Records. Che's got the makings of a truly outstanding rapper with potency and presence over the microphone, just like any other great ever. In one listen, you'll hear how malleable and dynamic her flow is, how sticky her punchlines are, and that perfect mix of style and substance that allows her to be versatile and in command of every single track. Oh, and the majority of the songs here are self-produced, and there are some incredibly nice beats on this album. The songwriting is well-worded, colorful yet direct, and spoken with charisma. Even down to the song titles being cool and thematic, there just isn't enough time in this video to run down every little thing Che does effectively, sharp, and creatively. A few fellow Griselda associated and or signed artists make appearances here: Rome Streetz, Armani Caesar, 38 Spesh, and others. Obviously, if you like Griselda stuff, we're recommending this to you heavily, but even if you don't really, I'd say any classic hip-hop loving fan is gonna like and respect Food for Thought a whole lot. At number 8 is Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. One thing rap fans can be assured of is that Tyler the Creator has yet to short them of anything other than maximum effort and creativity, and that's just not something you can say about all the most popular and all the most recognizable rappers out there. What makes Call Me If You Get Lost a very special album to us is Tyler's vast variety of cultural and musical influences coming together in relentlessly bold combination. It's a very fun listen, beaming with heart and personality, and it's one that I've always thought has a little something for everybody. One minute, DJ Drama's giving this thing the Gangsta Grills treatment, and the next, 42 Dugg and NBA Youngboy are showing up here with great features alongside other great moments from Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi, and so many others. It's impressive how seamlessly Tyler is able to find common ground with such a variety of artists, meet them at their level, and create something vibrant and attention-grabbing every time. When you mix that with the variety of production here, ranging from East-West Coast sample-based to inflections of Southern hip-hop and trap music, and we can't forget several iterations of R&B and neo-soul sounds, it's really a fun house of influences and nods to things, but Tyler somehow ties it all together in his own special way. I would also say that he does some of his best rapping on this album, and he's not an elite lyrical artist by any means, but he's engaged and often very clever. For those of you out there who feel like mainstream or more popular hip-hop is losing some of its creativity and personality, we probably agree with you in some ways, but we hope that an artist like Tyler, as influential as he's proven to be, will continue to have a positive impact on that scope of rap music, specifically with albums like this. Then at number 7, we have 1988 by Knxwledge. Hip-hop is historically an art form with several pivotal institutions, so we didn't want to make this list without including an instrumental selection. Knxwledge is an LA-based producer, most well known for his illustrious presence on the online audio distribution platform Bandcamp, and for being one half of the group No Worries, where he produces colorbound and slack-jawed soundscapes for Anderson .Paak to glide over with his patented mix of sing-rapping. If you never really deep-dove the Knxwledge catalog of beats, I'd say most of the hallmarks of his sound and style are here in 1988. The nuances and subtleties of his sample choices and production methods give a lot to listen for in these otherwise uncomplicated beats. 1988 is an ode to the year he was born, and with that, you get his sample-based masonry armed with a few extra late 80s, early 90s R&B cuts. Its best highlights include the opener, Don't Be Afraid, which flips Surrender by Cut Close into a syrupy, sweet, and scintillating piece of instrumental hip-hop. Another highlight is It Can Be So Nice, featuring Anderson .Paak in what sounds like cutting room floor material from the ongoing No Worries sessions, as they look to soon release a sequel to 2016's Yes Lawd. 1988 is a blazing 22 tracks in under 38 minutes, which is sprawling compared to other Knxwledge projects out there. Listening to this is going to feel like you're in some sort of a motion picture soundtrack. And at number 6 is Sundial by Noname. Noname takes the role of heliocentric poet in her second studio album, which is really her third big project when you include her debut mixtape, Telephone, released in 2016. Longtime fans of Noname will instantly recognize her slam poet-like streams of consciousness, as her asymmetric rhyme patterns and cerebral disposition are purely one of one. Her sweet and sometimes delicate-sounding voice is often a stark contrast with the very heavy, harsh subject matter that is as thought-provoking as it is true to life. And she does this in a myriad of ways, dissecting everything from the atrocities enacted upon foreign lands to the colorism on display at your local beauty store. But it's not all death, doom, and diatribes. This album has a very heartwarming nature that I find balances the beauty and the beast of the world that we really live in, accepting it for what it truly is. And honestly, I know this is a little tricky to include on this list given the backlash she's received for her inclusion of Jay Electronica on the song Balloons. I think it's absolutely fair to take exception to his verse on that song, or even just his presence on the album altogether. Yet and still, I think she was rather unfairly criticized in ways that only stood to heighten the salience of her messaging throughout this album. At number 5, we've got The Patience by Mick Jenkins. Chicago's Mick Jenkins is a rapper who's seldom seen the attention and credit that an artist of his caliber truly deserves, but I'll give him this. Listening to The Patience was my very inspiration to make this list. Nobody comes off hungrier or more urgent or imaginative with the wordplay at every step, and this album showcases the major strides that Mick continues to make as time moves on. If we were to expand the criteria of this list to the latter half of the 2010s, I'd absolutely have to include Pieces of a Man, which always has a special place in my heart, but even then I can't deny that The Patience is a more concise and exciting display of what Mick Jenkins has to offer. If you're a fan of the guy, then you've already come accustomed to his heady wordplay and variable flows. He's often very chill and cool but alert and in the pocket. But on The Patience, you'd almost be surprised to hear how impassioned and emphatic he gets at times. On tracks like Show and Tell, Sitting Ducks, and Pasta, he's really forcing the issue with a fire in his belly that you can't help but internalize as the listener. Also, the guest verses here are just as great. Freddie Gibbs, Benny the Butcher, and J.I.D. all add fireworks to the experience, which is ultimately very swift at well under 30 minutes. Not everything on this list is for every kind of hip-hop head, but I'd put this on for just about anybody to see what they think. At number 4, we have Bruiser Wolf's two most recent albums. This one deserves the double feature treatment because personally, I can't really decide which one I like better, but I'm certain that I see both of them as potential classic. We're talking about 2021's Dope Game Stupid and My Stories Got Stories, the latter of which just dropped about a month ago. Bruiser Wolf is a relative newcomer to the Bruiser Brigade camp, home to fellow rappers Danny Brown and Zaloopers, among others. You'll immediately notice his eccentric delivery that distinctly bounces from one word to the next, weaving in and out of witty metaphors, hilarious punchlines, and charming sections of story time. He's an unconventional, over-the-top personality that could breathe life into even the most mundane of tales. A lot of the subject matter here consists of his allegorical accounts of a former life made on the streets of Detroit, with moments of deep introspection and vulnerability peering through in some of the most pivotal tracks on both of these albums. Take, for instance, Mama Was a Dope Fiend, the closing track on Dope Game Stupid, as a grim, no-gimmicks look into the parallels between drug sellers and drug abusers. Bruiser Wolf's telling of his mother's embattled life sheds light on his decisions to get involved with drugs as a means of getting ahead in the world and the pain that exists on both ends of that spectrum. Dope Game Stupid, and My Stories Got Stories are as captivating as any rap album of the decade so far, and the stories upon stories within both of these records is undeniable proof of that. At number 3 is Little Dominique's Nosebleed by the Koreatown Oddity, quite possibly the most singular and original entry on this list. Little Dominique's Nosebleed features some especially vivid and personal storytelling, with striking song profiles and a slightly surreal atmosphere at times that gives this thing kind of a fever dreamish quality. Despite this, the Koreatown Oddity, real name Dominique Purdy, is not so abstract and in his own mind that the average hip-hop head couldn't enjoy most of what makes up this album. If you're at all familiar with the LA-based underground hip-hop and art rap scene or the Stones Throw catalog from which this was released, you'll hear those influences, and I certainly find myself thinking about Madlib and or Madvillain or Del the Funky Homosapien or People Under the Stairs when I'm parsing through the track list. But even then, those influences are driven in new directions or at least inward in a very personalized manner. Little Dominique's Nosebleed is consistently cold-blooded with a side of wit and satire, and it functions as an ode to Los Angeles through some sonic biopic means. This self-produced masterclass explores the ups and downs and over and undergrounds of a life lived in LA, deliriously under the hot California sun. If you like these kinds of quirky, unorthodox, but undeniably talented type rapper producers, we recommend this as an under-recognized but elite album in that category. At number 2 is Simbi and Drop 7 by Little Simz, and I've been saying it a lot lately, but I'll keep saying it. Little Simz is simply one of the best this genre has to offer currently, and with each passing release, that is made ever more evident. Let's start with 2021's Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, aka Simbi. It's Simz' first stab at a big, conceptual, and sonically grandiose album. If you like a rapper to be thoughtful, substantive, and deep, she does a lot of that here. If you like a slick-talking, wordy, but charismatic type, she can do that too, with relative ease. Every track, transition, and interlude serves to create an immense sense of environment and atmosphere. Production here is often wonderfully layered with live and digital instruments at play, and you'd be surprised at all the places this album can take you in its 60-minute runtime. And while we're at it, let's throw some praise on the EP she just released a couple weeks ago, titled Drop 7. In much more condensed packaging at under 15 minutes, Simz and her producer take you everywhere from UK hip-hop, house, grime, to Brazilian funk and Jersey club at the absolute drop of a dime. You'll find a perfect sampler of her skill set in this very brief EP, as well as a fresh sense of where she's headed moving forward. And at number 1, we have King's Disease 3 by Nas and Hit Boy. Now, we made this list with a lot of modern or even up-and-coming artists in mind, but I'm thankful to say that one of the genre's undisputed GOATs is still making a lasting imprint with new music. Something about the King's Disease series and really all of Nas's Hit Boy produced projects has seriously revitalized the Queensbridge prodigy back to former glory in a way we just haven't seen with another rapper of his caliber and pedigree. And with hip-hop being such a relatively young genre, the rules of aging gracefully within it are still being written. It was definitely impressive to see Jay-Z drop one of his all-time great records with 444 at the age of 50 years old, and now we have Nas writing entire new chapters to his legacy with multiple albums in this series. But for every Nas and Jay that's aging like fine wine in their later years, there are so many other greats in this genre either losing touch with their legacies or just straight up gone too soon for one tragic reason or another. Despite the fact that hip-hop is in many ways a young man's game, it's become entirely too expansive and important to too many people to be reduced to just that. Because the truth is, every rapper I just named on this list at some point or another is going to reach the stage of life that Nas is at if they're lucky. And they too will be searching for new ways to express and redefine themselves to put meaningful things out into the world. And it's developments like these that will hopefully make that transition a lot easier for everyone. Songs like Once a Man, Twice a Child epitomize his ability to ponder that very phenomenon with relative ease and offer insight and curiosity that reminds you that you can be forever young in this thing if you keep that fire burning in your mind and in your heart. King's Disease 3 is such an easy and enjoyable listen with purebred MCing supported by production that bridges the channel between the sounds of our time and yesteryear. KD 1 and 2 are also solid, but feel to be finding their footing a little, whereas KD 3 is confident and smooth with a clarity of mind from the very first moment. And in a genre like hip-hop that often places reactive and arbitrary limitations on even its most beloved figures, I don't want to undersell what a win albums are like this for my favorite genre and art form. And we got a couple bonus selections for you, the first being just Alchemist produced albums from the 2020s. I would say it's been a little difficult to make a list here about where hip-hop is going and how great it is now without highlighting him as a producer. This is a Black History Month list, however, so we wanted to highlight all the incredible Black artists he's made albums with of late. There are really too many to name, but some of the big ones being Alfredo with Freddie Gibbs, The Elephant Man's Bones with Rock Marciano, and Bo Jackson with Boldy James. And then another kind of double feature here with Pink Siifu's Gumbo and Pink Siifu and Fly Anakin's Fly Sifu's. Like so many other albums on this list, Pink Siifu's Gumbo is a highly creative and versatile album with a ton of heart. Its quirky blends of trap, jazz, and southern psychedelic sounds is almost unlike anything you've heard. Fly Sifu's, on the other hand, is a smoky, mellow piece that doubles as your classic buddy comedy. The skits on this album really take you back to an era where that was a lot more common to hear on albums, and their chemistry is truly great. Pink Siifu is a very well-rounded overall artist and producer who helps shape the sound palettes, and then Fly Anakin is so incredibly consistent and sharp, he helps pack this thing out to the gills with excellent rapping. And that's all we have for this list. We already have another Black History Month video out on this channel about our 10 favorite newer Black indie and hardcore bands and artists that we think you should know. So we'll definitely be back here with another video real soon. Clicking the like button or dropping a comment is probably the best way to make sure our next video gets put into your feed when it comes out. And again, we just want to thank you for watching. I am Devon, this has been Bligatory, and we will catch you soon in the next video. Thanks again.